What a honor, what a great opportunity to do something great here in my podcast, because I have an amazing person in here today, and it's Dan Stein. Hello, Dan. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Carmen. Thank you.
Yeah, Dan
Right.
is a very good colleague of mine. He's as well a speaker, he's a trainer, he has so many talents, and one of his passion calling is true, yeah, self-defense, which is not true. It's actually self-protection, right?
Yeah, if you put it the right way, it's actually self-protection, and there's a difference between self-protection and self-defense, since self-protection includes about 99.9% of strategy, and it's just 0.1% of action, while self-defense is just quote unquote the action part. And most of the people are a little afraid that when they hear self-defense, they think they have to learn some amazing skills like Bruce Lee or some of these guys, and it's not about that.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the other way around. Self-defense itself has to be very, very simple. Everybody should be able to apply it, or should understand it, and it has to be reality based. It doesn't make sense to have any fancy moves and funny skills, which looks very nice in Hollywood, and for instance, John Wick or these other guys. What's this lady's name? Steven Seagal, and
Yeah.
all these guys, right? It looks fancy, but in the end, it has to work. And unless you didn't train it for several years, if not decades, it is hard to defend yourself with skills like this.
Let us know a bit more about Mr. Dan Stein. So who is he? What's his story? How did he actually come to this topic in order to make sure that self-protection is being spread around the world?
Well, actually, regarding Dan Stein, sometimes I don't know himself. Um, Not even I know him. But in terms of the self protection, um, well, I have a story, to be honest, and I've been bullied and mobbed when I was at school and at kindergarten, and I remember that I called them later, not then. I called them home runs of over an hour for a distance of maybe not even half a mile, because all the others in the students and the pupils in the school, they were chasing me, even from other classes. They were chasing and hunting me down, and trying to catch me on my way home to beat me up. And no kid was red-haired enough, fragile enough, fat enough, whatever, that. And I probably have to mention that it was in the end of the 60s and the very beginning of the 70s, when I lived in a village with about 1,000 people living there, and very, very conservative in the south of Germany. So that was the reason why the black dude is the one who has to be beaten up. He has to be bullied, and he's definitely the victim no matter what. Well, and it took a while until I, well, basically turned the tables around, and it was, I guess, fifth grade when I started beating up the others. And so it was actually an exchange of positions. And I remember that I beat up guys from eighth grade, even ninth grade, until I, well, actually called out the strongest guy at school, who really surprised me, since he shown me how to really fight. Because when I started the fight and say, hey, come on, I'm gonna beat you up, he told me, man, your stance is shit. So what? Damn, I'm trying to beat you up and you're trying to give me any advice? Are you out of your mind or something like that? Well, and the very next moment I remember that he said, you know what, your fists, they won't work that way. And then he showed me some things, and all the the gathered guys around, and all the pupils, they knew that we were having this fight, and they were really disappointed that he didn't beat me up. So we became close friends, and he kind of like introduced me to Bruce Lee, not personally, but to the system. And so I started with self-defense. I started with karate, and I did Wing Chun and whatnot, MMA and Thai boxing and kickboxing and all of that stuff. And figured out that, well, I know how to defend myself, but I cannot help others. And I have this protective instinct within me ever since. And so I was, yeah, thinking about how I could help others to protect themselves. That's basically the, well, story of birth of my strategic self-defense system.
I'm very sure that quite a lot of listeners can really feel the similarity to their own life, because more than ever that it's a big topic that children and even adults are mobbed. So it's a kind of a similar story. I think a lot of people can really familiar and feel attached to that what you do. And now that you actually guided yourself with all the knowledge and all that what you gained in, because you truly went all in, because you clearly took your time.
I had no choice.
You had no choice, exactly. And instead of saying, listen, oh, I'm a poor one, I'm a victim, you decided to go the other way around. Instead of saying, yes, here I go all in, I get the knowledge in order to protect myself, which I think something very, very clever. And also that now that you show others the same. So you are giving now trainings, right? For people who are seeking
exactly.
for that.
Yeah, right. I conduct classes and courses, not on a regular weekly basis. It's actually, it's rather workshops of 2 days, because it makes, to me at least, it makes more sense to intensify all the skills and the drills and the basics or basement for the strategic self-defense actually is that it has to be easy to learn, easy to apply, and it has to be reality based, because as I said in the very beginning, there are too many systems out there that suggest that you're well protected with them, but in the end, if you have a real street fight, and believe me, there's no fairness whatever on the street. It isn't. Don't even think about it. And you have to be really determined, and you have to be very swift and aggressive and
Awaken.
well, and surprising to win a fight in the street. You have to be preemptive. If you're not the first to come, you will have a big problem. And this is basically what we teach. And well, let me take it that way, if I may finish this.
Sure.
It's really 99% of strategy. It's not about fighting, but if it comes to the fight, you have to go all in, what basically is the topic of Carmen. You have to go all in to get out of the situation. And it's not about showing that you can beat somebody up. It's just to protect yourself, to get out of the situation, and make sure that there are 3 choices you have 3 days from now. Either you're on court, you're in jail, or you're in hospital. So it's up to you what you do.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And therefore, you also explained in the earlier talk that you have like this lady in mind who you actually teach it for. So especially women.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you want to tell more about that, because I really like that in order for summarizing. Yeah.
Well, let me just tell you guys that we already had a podcast in German, and
Exactly.
Carmen asked me kindly to have one in English as well. So this is why. And she's referring to imaginary lady, elderly lady around her 60s, and her name is, since it's Germany, Erna Müller. Erna Müller is working at the counter at the supermarket, and she's on her way home and why she goes through the park or wherever, and it's probably in fall, it's a little foggy, it's already getting dark and all that stuff, and she has her two bags in her hands, and a guy maybe with my size tells her, "Granny, I like your money and I want it now." So what is she supposed to do regarding that? Erna Müller is not an Olympic runner. She never trained martial arts. She didn't ever saw a Bruce Lee movie. She can do now Jean-Claude Van Damme split or whatever. So in that case, she has to be very, very determined and preemptive and fast and surprising and whatever, just to get out of the situation. We're not talking about beating this guy up. We're talking about getting out of the situation, getting help, making a call for the officials, whatever. This is the basic. And what I was considering was, what kind of movement could a lady by that age do being safe, because it doesn't make sense to make a high kick or roundhouse or whatever, or tornado kick, and it doesn't work, and she never trained it. So it has to be very, very simple moves, and believe me, it really works. Just try to imagine this lady is around 150 pounds, and she is hitting you with a hammer fist. If she puts her whole body weight behind this fist, I tell you, this is a severe damage that she causes at her opponent, and it gives her enough time to get away.
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean, because it's also the surprising act what is really calling out here.
Yes, right.
Because the other person does not really expect that from a lady in general, because myself, I recognize that I had several situations like that, and normally men don't expect anything, that a woman is really reacting. So it is definitely good to be aware of what to do, to know these techniques.
Yes, right. If you know what you have to do, it's way, way easier. This is why we teach 99% strategy. So you have to have a situational awareness. You have to know where is the danger or the jeopardy coming from. And we teach you how to de-escalate. Well, by the way, these are all topics of the online workshop, which is supposed to be developed in English as well, for now in German, but the English version will follow.
Good.
And it is crucial and necessary to have the knowledge about self-protection, which is a difference to self-defense. Self-defense is just the physical skills, and self-protection is about checking your surroundings, knowing basically the whole peripheral thing of all of this. Yeah. Just try to imagine, since I'm working as a bodyguard and a close protection operative, what if my client would experience action every time we're together? I would lose my client right away, because I have to do the whole reconnaissance and all that stuff up in front in order to make sure that he's going from place to place safely, and he didn't even had an idea that he was in danger.
Yeah, absolute. I mean, that's kind of a very, very interesting topic as well. I mean, being a bodyguard and having all these kind of insights, which, as you say, you protect, you make sure that nothing is happening, and so everything is fine from the outside. Yeah.
Right.
You have,
anyway,
yes?
every situation is different anyway. Any close protection situation is different. Every fight on the street, and even the special forces know that no matter how much reconnaissance they have and how much they train, that every situation is different. But if you know you have some skills you can rely on, and you have the so-called vision for that, you have more confidence in what you do.
Yeah. What I would like to say here to our listeners is that you have your training area mainly in Berlin yet. Huh? So you have like one-to-one training, but also like group leading. So because, you know, language is not the topic here. So even if somebody comes to you who speaks English, then you just make it in English, right? So that's not,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I get fairly along. Yeah, right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of course.
Well, it depends. Actually, I got an invitation now to a foreign country but it's for a camp and for 5 days, you know, because just for instance, for all the English-speaking listeners from maybe further away, from maybe even out of Europe, I would love to come to US or to wherever, but it has to make sense. It doesn't make sense if I get there for 1 day, so I would have to charge you, I don't know, uh,
Yeah,
$1,500 for the
yeah,
day, and I
yeah.
need 100 participants or whatever. You know, I have to make a living out of it.
Mm.
But if there's a certain amount of people who are really interested in having me, I'll definitely drop by. So we make an appointment, we find out how we can make it work, and I'll be there. So
I mean, the great thing with you, Dan, is that not only, let's say, a company is hiring you because, you know, to show their workers how they can really, you know, speed up their, or, you know, enforce their of self-protection. In the same time, you can also do it the very evening a speech because you're also a keynote speaker. So, you know, also for big
right,
companies, that could be really a good income or good
yeah,
solution, you know, to get you as an expert into the self-protection. So that's definitely something. This is why I have to say now to your listeners, I insisted to make as well one in English, because I want to make sure that also your message, the message of Dan
okay,
Stein,
thank
is going
you.
to go global, because it is so important, no matter where you're living and no
Yes, it
matter who
definitely
you
is.
are, if 20, if you're in the 40s, in the 60s, that no matter if you're a woman, a man, to know that your self-protection is the key for your good living by going all in, by investing in your time, in your knowledge,
Right.
with the board of Dan, that's
And
that's a good thing to do.
and nobody can take it away from you. You know, whatever knowledge you gain, who's supposed to take it away from, unless someone is trying to brainwash you or stuff like that. But yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think it may be helpful, even if I'm not in the country where a company hires me to have a speech, but it makes sense to make the listeners aware of what self-protection is all about, and to learn that it makes sense to attend self-defense class or learn more about self-protection, and it's not even about me, because there are so many really, really good people out there who can teach as well as I do, but I do it my style and the others their style, and there's nothing better or worse. It is just the style. But matter of fact, and bottom line is, learn how to protect yourself, because these days, if you cannot protect yourself, it's a luxury actually that you cannot afford.
Yeah, very true. Do you have maybe 2 or 3 advices, tips, which you would like to give to the listeners in order for them to already finalize a bit for themselves the self-protection?
Yeah, right. Well, what I refuse to do in front of the camera is to show
Yeah, no, no.
some physical stuff, because I watch a lot of posts on YouTube, on all these social media channels, and I'm kind of like well, overwhelmed by what people are willing to show. Partly there are systems that don't really work, so this is why I don't give advice on the video, not knowing what the listeners or the watchers can do. But what I would definitely recommend at the first part, I think it's one of the most important parts of self-protection, is the mindset. You have to know that no matter what, you will get out of the situation. And just to give you a little example, when the SEALs train in Coronado, they have a week which is called Hell Week. It lasts 4 days or 5 days with 4 hours of sleep, and they get woken up at night at 2 o'clock with a helicopter running around them and machine gun fire, and they're there with a water hose and salt water, and they have to do push-ups and everything. And it's not about basically to punish these guys. It's about to find out who has the right mindset to survive, because you have to rely amongst brothers. You know, you have to know your brother has your back. What if you're in a hot area and he doesn't? You cannot rely on him. That means that the whole, as well, the task as the lives of your comrades are in danger. So um, they develop a mindset, which is I take care for my body and I take care for myself, no matter what, and I will get out of the situation. If you have this mindset, and if you train this mindset, and you can do it every day, even if you stay in the front of your mirror while you're brushing your teeth, you stare into your own eyes and say, I will get out of every bad situation no matter what. This is a mindset thing. And the more often you say that, the more it will hit your subconscious mind and you will keep it. That's one advice. And the other one is develop situational awareness, which means try to learn to to check your surroundings. Okay, you may check something like that. For instance, when you sit in your favorite bar, your favorite cafe, your restaurant, sit there, check how many people are there, how many people are there, not peoples, how many people are there, where is the entrance to the restroom, where's the kitchen, where's the exit. Try to kind of figure out what these people in this room are capable of. Try to keep the surroundings in front of the restaurant. For instance, how many cars are driving by? Where's the bus stop? Did some customers change and all that stuff? And you start getting more aware of what's happening around you. And by that, you are able to pretty distinguishedly tell if something is wrong or not. And if you train this, this may help you to stay out of trouble, because, as I said, it's 99.9% strategy. It's not about the physical stuff.
Yeah, these are very, very helpful tools. And I do like very much that you build up your advices on your mind and as well on our senses, because, you know, to have good mindful, you know, be mindful in order to see
Right,
what's going
exactly.
around, even to hear and even the smell. We have good senses in which we can learn so much and we can see so
Right.
much. The question is, are the people aware of it? Are the people careful and really observing? And
Yeah.
that's
Well, in modern times, actually, we kind of unlearned it. We lost these skills. I mean, try to imagine you would live somewhere in the woods and you depend on hunting your food, on finding out if there's a predator next to you, a bear, a wolf, whatever it is. You have to smell, you have to listen, you have to read tracks and all that stuff. So we have to actually act like a scout, and you do basically the same when you live in a suburban or urban area, or even in a village. You know, learn to observe, learn to figure out what is right, what is wrong, what could happen if you anticipate things that you well logically can follow up to, and you say, okay, if this happens, this and this and this, you get a sense for what will happen in which situation. So and you're even able, if you see, oh wow, there's some trouble coming up, and at my favorite bar there's two big guys are having an argument, and I can tell, I see the carotides, they're swollen. You know what, come on baby, we leave this place, okay, because it's gonna be hot very soon.
Yeah, it's also called like intuition, because we do have the
Right.
sensibility of really feeling it.
Yeah.
And before
And
we are
then,
finishing our beautiful podcast, I would like to show and to present to the listeners also a different Dan Stein, because it actually fits very well to the senses which we just actually brought up. Because you then actually have, besides this calling, what you're actually doing in order to show people, how to go ahead with self-protection. It's also that you're a wonderful singer. So what is really calling out here is that you have this passion of singing. So yes, I know that's another sort of sensibility, which I think it's very
You did your
lovely.
homework. I can tell you did your homework,
Yes,
man. The
yeah, and
internet, it forgets nothing. I know.
it forgets nothing. But I mean, by the way, to all of you, you're anyway going to see the link down there. He has a own page where you can listen into this beautiful voice, and also the lyrics are done by yourself, right? So
Yeah,
it's you
right.
have, yeah,
Yeah.
right. So and you have built up your own song, which you actually told me in the previous podcast, in the German version, that you had also made one for self-protection. So there
Yeah,
is,
well,
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
for squeezing in, but actually, yeah, it was kind of like a song for self-protection, but to be honest, it was actually for a boxing champion, for a world boxing champion, and
Yeah.
he asked me to write a song for him, which I did, and he never used it. Sorry for that. So I don't want to call any names, but well, it's still there. It's called Veni Vidi Vici, and yeah, well, it has something to do with wherever you go, we come, we see, we win, and nothing will ever bring you down. Not the iron fist, not that you had to, that you had your head in the dust and in the dirt, and through whatever you went through, you will get out with that mindset, Veni Vidi Vici.
Mhm. Mhm. I think what the great message here is as well, that whatever you do out there, even in order to support your mindset, that every person, every listener is trying to find out as well what do you like to do? Because if you get your creative side really being activated, that is gonna highlight and is gonna force you as well. It's gonna train you to be more aware about everything,
Right.
because the creativity here is very good. So this is why I like to lead as
Yeah.
well, and to show this Mr. Dan Stein, who is
Right.
not really visible in this other, but there are many ways, and that's also something what I believe is truly be shown. And these
Yeah, it's okay. It's another part. Well, just get me right. I'm not ashamed of it. And even the great Musashi, for those who know this amazing samurai who um, who really killed over 600 men in duels.
yeah,
He had the other side. He had to meditate, and he went when he was when he was older. He went to the mountains and wrote the five rings, and after that he
yeah,
died. But Musashi was. He said it's all about the balance. You cannot go out there, be a warrior, what a samurai basically is, kill a whole lot of people, and
yeah.
just remotely imagine that it will never affect your soul or your inner life. Of course it does, and then you have to bring it back to balance. So most of real fighters and warriors, or people who have jobs with hard times where they have to be tough, actually have the softer side. They're creative in some ways. Either they write or they sing or they paint, they do something.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. So I definitely want to tell you also that wish you very good luck for your singing part career. But as well, I want to congratulate you and want to say thank you for your work you're doing here in order to show, to guide people into their self-protection, because that's more than ever needed. So I really want to say thank you to your work here.
Thank you
Then we
for
could
having
we
me,
could
Carmen.
keep on talking for another 1.5 hours. I
Yeah.
finally would like to ask you, is there any final sentence you would like to share with our listener?
Oh,
Ooh.
actually, yeah. Okay. I got a picture right here next to me, which shows Bruce Lee. And he says, let me read it to make it really correct. He says, knowing is not enough, we must apply. And willing is not enough, we must do. And this is something that fits perfectly on
Wow.
self-protection.
Beautiful. Yeah, what a beautiful saying. And I'm so honored that you have joined here this podcast, that you shared your great knowledge and experience
Very
and
welcome.
skills with the listeners. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Okay, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much. Okay.
And I wish you all the best for your book, which is going to be published soon, for your online classes, which is going to be published soon, for your new homepage, which is going to be published soon.
Yeah.
But for all that, yes, for all that, what is already there. And dear listeners, I would like to say thank you for your time. I truly hope that you can take your benefits out of it. Please feel free to contact Dan Stein if there are any further questions. He's on TikTok, he's on YouTube, he's on Insta. So he's on LinkedIn. So please, you find him everywhere, just to make sure that you are definitely going to go and you be your best self-protection. So under these circumstances, thank you to all of you. Again, thank you, Stan, for your being here, and wish all of you a good and safe life, because this is what you truly deserve by going all in. Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.
So.